This is The Bill Good Show. Now, here is Bill Good.
There is a certain irony to the fact that while we are recognizing that the Olympic Games begin 1 month from today, a group representing 3,500 BC athletes is launching a pre-Olympic web campaign to try to convince the provincial government to restore funding levels for amateur sport. BC Athlete Voice, while praising Premier Campbell for investing heavily in sport in the lead-up to the 2010 Games, says cutting funding for 2010-2011 to half the $22 million allocated in 08-09 is ill-timed. Bruce Deacon is chair of BC Athlete Voice, former Olympian, marathon runner. Mr. Deacon, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Just first of all, tell me what BC Athlete Voice is.
Well, BC Athlete Voice is an organization that represents high-performance athletes in BC. So that could be varsity athletes. It could be athletes that compete at a provincial level, at a national level, or an international level. And so we're a group that advocates for athletes and also educates them, too. Gives them tips on how to find funding, how to find sponsors, how to write thank you cards, how to advance in their leadership skills, all this sort of thing.
Now, just how big an impact is this cut in funding going to be?
Well, I think I'd like to start by, just saying that that we want to say thank you to government. I mean, really, the Premier had a vision in very early, actually before he even won the election, his first election. He had a vision that the Games would be good for BC, good for BC athletes, and he invested heavily in this. And I think that there's not anybody in the sports system that would say that he hasn't done anything but a great job at funding sport, at advancing sport, and we're so grateful. As an Olympian, I can tell you that the money that's given by government makes a huge difference. The support that's given to athletes is incredibly important.
So it sounds to me that right now you're trying hard not to bite the hand that feeds you by being grateful for what he and they have done before, but at the same time, you're not happy with what they're doing now.
Well, we certainly recognize the investment that they've made, and all we're saying is this is a good time to keep investing. Because I'll give you my own story. I grew up in Ottawa, and the reason I got into sport was because of the 76 Olympic Games, and that's what motivated me to a lifelong career in sport. And that's what's going to happen in February and in March. We're going to get kids across the province that are going to get excited in sport, and they're going to want to try it, and they're going to dream of winning medals, of being high-performance athletes. And so what we're trying to do is to encourage the government to reconsider the cuts that are outlined in the BC Service Plan, and to continue to be investing in sport, because this is a critical hour.
And you believe, through personal experience, that Canadians winning medals in Vancouver translates into youngsters participating in freestyle skiing or speed skating or skeleton or luge or bobsled, or not to mention hockey and figure skating.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, this is why the province invested early on in Legacies Now to try to build the infrastructures so that kids could have rinks, and they invested heavily in infrastructure in places not just around the Olympic venues, but also as far away as Prince George. So they've invested an awful lot, and what we're just wanting to ensure is that there's the funding there to run programs out of these facilities, because kids will get excited about sport and will want to take up sport.
But what will $11 million in funding cuts mean on the ground? What's going to be lost if those cuts do go through?
Well, one of the things that the funding has provided for athletes and for coaches is extra training opportunities. It's enabled provincial sport organizations in all the different sports to run programs. It's enabled BC team members to do well at Canada Games. They've had, the best performance that they've ever had since 1993 when we hosted the Canada Games. So this enables those programs to run. This provides opportunity for youth, for athletes of all levels, from playground right up to podium.
So does this mean you're basically going to have about half as much money next year as you had last year to fund these programs?
Well, we're hoping not. We're hoping that the service plan is only a plan right now, and what we're hoping is that we can get the message out that sport matters, that we can get the message out that that sport matters to BC citizens and to BC athletes and coaches and parents, and that the government would reconsider their decision that's outlined in the service plan. So we're hoping that there's no cuts. We're hoping that there's continued funding and continued investment.
You know that there are a lot of people listening who say, well, we've got cuts to health care. We have people sleeping on the streets at night. Those things have higher priority, and a government that's facing reduced revenues has to make adjustments in spending.
Absolutely. Government does need to make adjustments in spending, and everybody's under pressure. But sport isn't just sport, Bill. Sport is about education. Sport is about health care. This gets kids active and reduces health care costs. Sport is about community development. So when we host a BC Games in a smaller rural community, that pumps thousands, if not millions, of dollars into that community. This is what sport is. It's not just about kicking a ball around or taking or swimming a length or something, or skiing down a mountain. Sport is about community development. It's about healthcare. It's about education.
Well, I would argue that if you engage someone in athletics when they're 10, 12, 14, they're a lot less likely to be on the street doing drugs when they're 17, 18, 19.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and there's plenty of stories of where sport has taken a significant role in altering the course of a youth at risk's life. And so sport is a good investment because it has more implications than just medals. And so all we're asking in the Thumbs Up campaign, all BC Athlete Voice wants, is for government to reconsider the planned funding and to continue to invest, to continue to do the good work that they've done. Is
this primarily cuts that come through gaming?
No, gaming is a whole different pot of money, and those gaming funds, they help provincial sport organizations, and local clubs to attend competitions, to do other types of program and that sort of thing. But we're really focusing just on the core grants.
Thank you for doing this.
Hey, well, I think that it's worthwhile, and I think it's exciting. I mean, think about it. We're a month out from what government had the vision to see as something that could be one of the milestones for BC history, that could be certainly the greatest sporting event ever to come to BC.
I suspect the tide is going to turn, but what's your reaction as a former Olympian been to the wave of negativity that seems to have sprung up in the past 2 or 3 years? I was reminded this morning in 2003, when the games were awarded to Vancouver, there was an outpouring of euphoria about getting the games, but somewhere along the line that seemed to go sideways. As a former Olympian, what's your reaction been to the negativity?
I've just focused on the positive, and I think that a lot of people have. This is going to be a tremendous event, and I think that, I wasn't in BC. I didn't live here during the Expo in '86, but my hunch is that there was probably people that were naysayers at that time. And I bet that a lot of those naysayers at the end of the year were saying, wasn't that a phenomenal event, and aren't we glad we hosted Expo? So I think that a lot of the people that are lukewarm or maybe even against the games right now, in another 2 months will be singing the praise of how much this brought to BC and how much it helped to define us as a province. This was a great decision to host these games, and I think people will be very confident in that in the next couple months.
Is there a time frame here? Is there a period during which you can make your case and try and save your funding?
I think that it's important just to plant a seed right now before the games. Over the next couple months, a lot of government will be meeting Olympic athletes, Olympic medalists, and we'll have a chance to chat with them.
Wanting to be seen on the podium with them or near the podium?
Well, perhaps, but I think that's very reasonable. I mean, government has made an investment and helped in their success, so why not? But I think that as they talk with these people and see them as people, not just as Olympians, that I'm hoping that our campaign will remind them of the contributions that they've made and the importance to continue to make those type of investments.
Going to speak with the Minister of Sport, Ida Chong. Next, my thanks to Bruce Deacon. Bruce, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Back with more after this.